When you think of Earth, Wind, and Fire, your mind probably jumps straight to the pure joy of September, right? Or maybe the insane energy of Boogie Wonderland. But underneath all those hits, there's something way more ambitious. It's like a meticulously designed architectural blueprint for a truly universal sound. So today, we're going to peel back the layers, look past the gold records, and really uncover the vision, the discipline, and the flat-out genius of how this band was built. Okay, so let's just dive right in with the big question, the one that drove the band's founder, Maurice White, from the very beginning. You have to remember, this was a deeply divided America, and he wasn't just trying to start another band. He was asking himself this huge question: how do you actually build a sound that can unite the entire world? This was never just about music for him. It was a philosophical mission. And that mission, well, it all starts right here, with Maurice White's blueprint for unity. His whole vision was to consciously engineer a sound that could smash through cultural divides. He wanted to create music that wasn't just funk or jazz or R&B, but something totally new that could speak to literally everyone, everywhere. But, before you can build something that grand, you need a rock-solid foundation. And for Maurice White, that foundation was forged in the intense pressure cooker of the Chicago music scene. This is where that big, lofty idea of universal sound had to meet the cold, hard reality of world-class musicianship and discipline. If you look at this timeline, you can see how every single step was a crucial piece of the puzzle. At Chess Records back in the 60s, he was a session drummer, learning precision from absolute legends like Etta James. Then, with the Ramsey Lewis Trio, he's mastering how to command a stage, and this is huge. He discovers the kalimba, that African thumb piano that would become the literal sonic soul of his band. His first group, the Salty Peppers, was kind of like a trial run. But to build his masterpiece, he knew he had to make the big move to Los Angeles in 1970 and just start from scratch. And a fresh start? Well, it needed a new name, a name that was as big as his vision. So he looked to his own astrological sign, Sagittarius. Its main element is fire, with seasonal ties to earth and air, which he called wind. Now here's the key thing. This was not random at all. He deliberately left out the element of water. He wanted his band's identity to be focused on these grounded, energetic, and spiritual forces that he wanted the music to channel. All right, so with that foundation and philosophy locked in, it was time to start building the main pillars of this new sonic temple. Maurice White went out and assembled an absolute dream team to create the three core components that would make the Earth, Wind, and Fire sound completely unmistakable. So the first pillar, and maybe the most iconic, was the vocal architecture. In 1972, he finds Philip Bailey, and this incredible contrast became their signature. You had Maurice's commanding, earthy tenor keeping the songs grounded, while Philip's absolutely ethereal four-octave falsetto just sent them flying into the heavens. It was this perfect vocal yin and yang that, come on, there was nothing else like it. The second pillar was the mind-blowing sophistication of the music itself. And for that, Maurice brought in his secret weapon, his coach, the genius producer Charles Stepney. Stepney created a style he called Baroque soul. Just think about that for a second. He was fusing these deep, complex funk grooves with the epic symphonic power of the Chicago Symphony and the futuristic sounds of Moog synthesizers. He gave their funk a classical soul. And the third pillar? Well, that was just pure, unadulterated power, the Phenix Horns. This legendary brass section was the jet fuel, providing those tight, punchy, staccato blasts of energy that you hear driving all their biggest hits. They weren't just background noise, they were the engine, giving the music this aggressive, joyful, and totally commanding presence. But see, Maurice White's vision went so far beyond just the sound. The music was meant to be a gateway, an entrance into a whole philosophical and visual universe. He knew that the band's identity had to feel just as epic and transcendent as the music they were creating. So to build this universe, he teams up with Japanese artist Shusei Nagaoka, whose incredible airbrushed masterpieces basically became visual mission statements for the band. Look at All in All. You've got spaceships mixed with ancient Egyptian imagery, suggesting that technology is a kind of spiritual evolution. Or I Am, which uses these ancient African poses to talk about realizing your own potential. This whole Egypto-futuro vibe wasn't just cool decoration, it was the band's core message in visual form, linking ancient wisdom to a cosmic future. So as the 70s ended, the whole musical world just changed overnight. Disco was suddenly dead, and synthesizers were everywhere. Now, a lesser band might have just faded out, But not Earth, Wind, and Fire. They didn't just adapt, they pivoted, brilliantly grabbing a hold of new technology to create a fresh, futuristic sound. Their 1981 smash hit Let's Groove is a perfect masterclass in how they did this. You can see the anatomy of it right here. They take a futuristic vocoder riff, they lay it over this heavy Moog synth bass, but, and this is the absolute key, they anchor the whole thing with those classic, aggressive EWF horn blasts. They didn't abandon their sound, they supercharged it with the tools of the future. You know, building a timeless institution, that's one thing, but protecting it, that's a whole different battle. As the band became this global phenomenon, they had to start fortifying their legacy, fighting to protect not just their creative excellence, but the integrity of their name and their business. And that fight, well, it wasn't always easy or pretty. The Phenix Horns became so legendary that they started touring with Phil Collins. And while it was creatively amazing, the partnership ended in this really bitter legal battle over royalties. This quote just hints at the harsh business realities that can hide behind even the most joyful music. And the stakes were just unbelievably high. This number, it's staggering. An accounting mistake led to Collins countersuing the Horns for almost $800,000 in overpaid royalties. The legal fight was absolutely devastating. It basically bankrupted several members and really led to the breakup of that legendary unit. It's just a truly tragic chapter in their story. And this is exactly why the band's leadership became so fiercely protective of the brand. They have consistently gone to court to defend the Earth, Wind, and Fire name. It doesn't matter if it was against a former member in Europe or a tribute band in the US just this year. They have fought tooth and nail to make sure that when you see that name, you are getting the real, undiluted thing. And that commitment to quality is still going strong today. Just look at the tech they're using on their recent tours. This is not some nostalgia act just coasting on old hits. We're talking state-of-the-art mixing consoles, top-of-the-line speaker arrays, the absolute best technology money can buy. They are still operating as a high-precision machine, dedicated to delivering that incredibly complex, powerful sound with total excellence, night after night. So we end up back at a much bigger question, right? It's one thing to create a sound that can unite the world for a moment in time. But what does it take for that sound, for that vision, to actually endure for generations? For Earth, Wind, and Fire, the answer seems to be this powerful mix of philosophical ambition, relentless discipline, constant evolution, and the fierce, unbreakable will to protect the institution you've built. Their blueprint wasn't just for a band, it was for permanence.